Ladies, gentlemen, coaches, info product owners, you have clicked on this video because what you want is 5 simple, actionable tips for a successful webinar/live event campaign in 2025. If you don't know who I am, my name is Charlie McCormack. I'm the founder and director of Webinar Wizards and Progressors Network. I currently do exclusively done-for-you webinars and live event campaigns in the coaching and info space, actively for clients, week in, week out. I have multiple 6 figures in client testimonials. I also have a podcast, which is Progress With Us. If you want to watch any of the testimonials, you can go to webinarwizards.com/info. And if you want to watch the podcast, then you can go to Progressors Network on YouTube. Now, one-to-many calls and webinars are tough, and these tips will help you out because running a successful webinar is not as simple as just running traffic and getting on camera and making a pitch and hoping that everything is all going to be okay. If you've never sold one-to-many before, it is a tricky thing to get right, and there are multiple complex moving parts and pieces that you have to consider and you have to get right in order for the webinar to be a grand slam. And JFK said this: a rising tide lifts all boats. So after doing over the best part of £500,000 for my clients through copy and webinars, I've identified 5 heavy lifting key elements that will almost guarantee that your webinar is a home run, starting with picking the one thing. Now, the OG internet marketers would have called this the hook or the story or whatever Russell Brunson calls it. No, it would be the headline or the hook. And this is the single most important thing that you can do when you put together a live event or a webinar campaign, is to pick the right angle and the right value proposition for the call. Because if you don't do this, you're going to be fighting a losing battle because people are not interested in the information you are offering them. Because a webinar is not the same as a call. A call, you're inviting people to come and buy. A webinar, you are offering people the chance to come and learn. So you need to make sure the thing you say you're going to teach them is useful. For example, a client of ours that we did a Grand Slam webinar for him, and Iman Gadzi, someone that hopefully, if you're watching this video, I assume that you will know who Iman Gadzi is. The example for our client is that his offer helps people to raise finance. That is the thing that separates him from his competitors. It's what the majority of his clients come to him for. It's what his ideal client struggles with the most. It's what their biggest barrier is. And it's how we can attract the most amount of qualified people. So what do? We literally just called it a Raising Finance Masterclass. It was so insanely simple, but it worked because it was the right angle and it's the right value proposition. The people who follow Aston and the people who want to learn from him are people who want to know how to raise finance. Iman Gadzi, he literally called the event The One Thing, which is kind of like why I've said like pick the one thing, because this is Iman's Grand Slam thing. He said that a personal brand is the one thing that you need to succeed in any industry, whether that be like SaaS, e-com. He was talking about everything, right? But that was his main value proposition and angle. And if you get this right, you'll see an increase in signups, you'll see an increase in show ups, and you'll see an increase in closes. So if that is the case, then this is the most important thing, because this is what's going to bring the throughput through for the entire campaign. Second, and this is not one that I see a lot of people talk about, but this is something that it's so important. And this is, again, another thing that's like a rising tide lifts all ships. So the same way that you would want a great confirmation page and great pre-call flows for people who book calls with you, like sales calls, you want to do the same for your webinar campaigns. You need to make sure that you are encapsulating everything important about the event and including them all in the confirmation page, as well as repeating them in the emails and for the people who've signed up. Because the more content, the more stuff you get people to consume, the higher the likelihood is that they will end up becoming a client. So that is what we're going to try and do. The confirmation page is the thing that sets them off on a journey between the time that they sign up and actually sitting down and attending the webinar. So we want to make sure they have things to do in the meantime. Now, ideally, you would give them a YouTube video, you would give them lead magnets or something longer form that we can get them to my checklist of what I include in my confirmation pages. So I film a confirmation video, lead magnets, worksheets that you promised them that they would get when they sign up, give it to them instantly, give them access to a group, which could be Telegram or WhatsApp or a Facebook group, link to join the call so they can save the page and they know where to join the call, housekeeping rules if there are any, and last but not least, somewhere that they can add the webinar to their calendar. So not only are they going to see us promoting it on social media, not only are they going to see it in the group chat, not only are they going to get the lead magnets, which incentivize them to join anyway, not only are they going to see all the other, the emails, the SMS and everything, but they're going to then get notified by their iOS, their Google Calendar, or their Outlook calendar, or whatever fucking calendar they use. Number 2, there's 2 core components to a webinar offer. There's the core offer, and then there's the bonuses. I actually made a full video about this, so I'm not going to go into too much depth about it. I'm not even going to read everything on here. I'm just going to let you go and watch the video because it's an absolute banger and you need to know everything in there. But if you're speed running this and you just want the 5 easy tips, I'll speed run it for you. There's a core offer, which is the product that you sell. If someone was to book a call with you, this is what they would be sold. So for example, your info product or your course or your coaching or your consulting program. Most people in the audience will already be aware of this, and this is what they pay for. And then you have the bonuses. Now, if for some weird reason you haven't been offering bonuses and you've just been pitching your core offer, this is going to be one of the main reasons your webinar hasn't been converting. But these are the things that we're going to offer them in addition to the core offer for a reason. Don't just give people bonuses and say, oh, it's available for a limited time if it's something like a PDF. And I dived really deep into this in the video. It'll be called like how to structure or make a great webinar. And you should just go and watch that full thing. Number four, it doesn't end with the webinar. When people come to us, when clients come to us, and they say they want to do a webinar with us and we onboard them, they expect that the majority of the money that is made from these campaigns are made on the call itself. So that applies to book calls or actual direct sales on the webinar. And this couldn't be further from the truth. Now, unless you have a lazy sales team, you are going to make more money. That's going in bold, underline, and italic. You're going to make more money post-webinar following up properly than you will on the call. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. So the non-negotiable things, that these are my 5 tips, but the non-negotiable things that you have to have in there, you have to have a post-webinar email sequence promoting the offer, and your appointment setters, your SDRs, your appointment bookers, whatever you want to call them, have to call or message every single person who didn't buy or book a call. Treat them like you would any other lead. Whether, imagine you had paid however much for a lead, 10, 20, 30 quid if you got a high cost per lead. Treat them like you would any other lead and work backwards through the CRM. Start with those who had an offer made and work back based on the engagement. So whether it would go something like this, it would go the people who booked a call, or sorry, it'll be like the people who purchased, the people who booked a call, the people who applied, the people who showed up, work backwards based on engagement. And the optional / recommended things is to upload the webinar to YouTube after a week / you can even run Facebook ads to the YouTube video then. Like I said, record an intro for it. Create a post-webinar landing page, which includes the webinar offer on it for simplicity. And then for people who didn't attend, give them a replay. And if you think that people are just going to watch the replay and people are going to get the replay and they're not actually going to watch it, consider making it a paid option. The campaign does not stop when the webinar is over. It stops when everyone who signed up for the campaign has been followed up multiple times. I cannot stress this enough. You have a CRM full of people who've just sat through a massive sales presentation and you are just going to let them go. Like, no, we're going to hit them up and we're going to follow them up multiple times. And I promise you, if you do this, you will make more money in following up than you will on the call itself. This is so important. And when I first started doing webinars, I left so much money on the table for me and my clients because we weren't doing this. And now we do this. We're cleaning up 40, 50, 138k campaigns with a small amount of attendees because we are following up and treating them like they are any other lead. And last but not least, you need a high converting webinar script. And this script will then obviously become the presentation. Whenever someone announces they are doing webinars, I always register and I attend so I see how they run them and how they present. And I see so many people jumping on these webinars and they just wing it. You can tell they haven't put love and care into their script, and they wonder why their webinars aren't converting when they should be hitting 20, 25%, why they're only converting 2, 3%. And the first problem is that they jump on and they start rambling on about the features of their product or bullshit that their audience does not care about. And within 15 minutes, literally half the people on the call are gone. They're checking Instagram, they're checking their emails, or they will literally just leave. And that's because you didn't get the start of it right. You didn't front load the objections. You didn't get their attention. You didn't confirm that the thing you said you were going to teach them is actually the thing that you're going to teach them. Or the people who were just sat on the call aren't being properly persuaded and having their belief shifted because you haven't structured the content in the script and the presentation to actually handle their objections in advance. So when you finally pitch, their guard is up and they just feel like they're being pitched like any other time that they're having something sold to them. You might as well just done a sales call if you want to take the piss and not get the script right. I make my clients follow the script word for word because without a proven pitch, right, without a way to pitch properly, they stumble through the offer, they don't sell the bonuses properly, and they don't create the actual urgency and they don't communicate why it's actually important for them to pay attention or why the offer that we have actually solves their problems. And then your closers end up on calls with leads who don't give a shit. They need to think about it, even though they've just sat through an hour and a half sales presentation because you didn't do the heavy lifting and you got lazy during the webinar. Or if you write a really terrible script, you're going to blow your chances with these leads because, let's be honest, someone who's just sat through a really fucking boring presentation is not going to book a call with you. So you need a script that's going to build trust with people. It's going to keep people engaged. It's going to show them that you actually understand their issues and that you can solve them. It's going to handle their objections, and it's going to have people who really, 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 really want what you're about to sell them before you even pitch it. And if you have never been on a good webinar before, or you've never done a good webinar before, you don't understand how powerful this can be. You literally have people in the audience who are sat there waiting to be pitched because they're so sold on it. They don't want to fuck around anymore. They literally just want to pay. And if you want this, you can have it for absolutely free, because when you sign up to our newsletter, we give you instant access to the webinar script that I personally use when I write scripts for my clients week in, week out. I'm going to leave the link to that in the description. And a little bonus from me. It's not 5 to 7 bonuses, but I thought I'd just throw a little bonus in. You want to send your prospects to space with a banger of a guarantee. If you do all of that, if you do those 5 easy tips, you remove the risk for them with a guarantee, you make it make more sense to work with you than to not work with you. You mix in a little bit of legitimate scarcity or urgency in there, you are going to convert like mad. So what to do from here? Go and watch the case study breakdown about how we made £138,000, no ad spend, 126 people on the call. And if you want to start working with us and you don't actually want to have to do any of this process yourself, and you want to start adding 30 to 50k to your monthly revenue with webinars, which is our guarantee, what we do for you, then go, click the link in the description, watch our full explainer video, book a call. I'll be taking it, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.